Yeah, hey, I'm on a beach and it's very hot, so God knows how long I'm going to stay here. But I introduced myself in my last video. So I'm Ray. I'll just go over that again briefly. I've been here 16 years in southern Sweden. And today I want to just give you a list of things I love and things I maybe hate strong words, but dislike about Sweden. So let's start with the things I don't like about Sweden, and we can finish on a positive note with the things I do like about Sweden. So starting at number 10, so I've got some notes here. I think, and number one being the worst, right? So 10 is not so bad, but candle crazy. Now the Swedes in winter love candles. They go crazy for candles. They're buying them in bulk. Winters are long, cold, so they definitely want to have their candles to cozy up their spaces, and that kind of suggests that they're going to be inside for a long time, right? So yeah, candle crazy, number 10. What I don't like either is they've seemed to have sort of shrunk the portions of the food and charging more for it. So yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I need a good dinner, right? If I go out, so I almost need 2 or 3 of those portions, and you could be paying £15, something like 180 Swedish crowns. It's around 15, isn't it? £15 for one of those dishes. So yeah, don't like the portions. That's number 9. Number 8, I really don't like. They've got an obsession with loud bikes, like really Harleys. You know, the cars are souped up, the bikes are souped up, and they will go along the road at 15 kilometers an hour and just rev those engines. You know, they are so desperate for people to look at them. They want the validation that they've got a nice bike or a big something or another. Really hate that. Maybe it's just my little town, but yeah, there's so many bikes and cars, and I just don't understand why they need to rev those engines. So number 8. Number 7 is what I don't like is Systembolaget. It's a shop where you go and buy alcohol. Now it's only one shop. It's state owned. So you go and you buy your beers and you buy your wine, and it's open from 10 until 6 or something, Monday to Saturday. It's closed on Sundays. So you can't do a spontaneous shop. You know, on a Saturday, for example, it closes at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So if you're going to a party at, you know, you'll be invited to a party at 3, you're buggered. You know, you have to steal someone else's alcohol. It's state owned, and it's only one of, you know, it's just called System. So you can get low alcohol beers and wines in ordinary shops, supermarkets, but they're sort of 3.5 and lower. But yeah, it's very regulated buying of beer. That was number 7. So number 6, I don't like how tall people are here. It is unbelievable how tall they are. You know, yeah, and I'm not the tallest. 170. I'm probably shrinking as we speak, but yeah, 173 or thereabouts. Yeah, so Swedish people are really tall. What can you do? You can't do much about that, but it is pretty annoying. I think number 5 is hard to get into Swedish society. Yeah, so if you're moving over, I found that a lot of Swedish people have friends from, even at this age, you know, I'm 58, they still have their friends from university or school. They're still seeing them and hanging out with them, so they're in that group, right? So Swedes don't really need to go and find friends. I'm from London, so of of course, I have some friends from university, but you're always meeting new people and sort of, yeah, finding new people to talk to and hang out with. But here, no, they're very much in their groups and they stay in their groups. That's pretty tough to take. So yeah, hard to get into Swedish society is number 5. Number 4 on my list, so it's getting worse and worse, more hate, more hate. Number 4 is service in bars and restaurants. I really, really hate the service in bars and restaurants. And I'm not saying every bar and restaurant's like this. I know a couple of places where I would get really good service, but generally it's really bad service in Sweden. Someone needs to set up a service school to teach people how to do service here. I actually got chased one time in Malmö for telling the barman his service was awful. He jumped over the bar and started chasing me out of the bar. So I kind of, yep, that confirmed service is really bad, right? Yeah. So service is bad. Yeah. Not in every bar and restaurant, I might add, but a lot of them. That was number 4. Number 3, yeah, I think I've touched on it. People hide in winter, hence the crazy candle buying. Yeah, as soon as autumn, I think it's not even just winter. As soon as autumn comes, like September, people are starting to cozy up inside. Music is a word that they use to muse inside, to cozy up, to get cozy, and they're in there for until April. I might be exaggerating, but it's just that they just disappear. Yeah. And I don't like that. Coming from London, I had a really good active social life. People, it didn't matter what the weather was, you're out doing stuff, right? Here it's very, and I'm not saying I live in a smaller town in southern Sweden. Stockholm is a little bit different. You would be out a little bit more, I suppose, than I am here. But yeah, the candles are definitely bulk buyed, if that's a word, bulk buyed, or bulk bought. I work for IKEA, so I can see how many candles and how crazy people are going for candles when it comes to that time of the year. Number 2 on my list of hates is it's really expensive to go out. So even if you do go out, right, you're paying a lot of money for your dinner and your beer or wine, and then the service isn't great, right? So why go out? Buy your candles, just stay inside. Yeah, it's really, really expensive to go out. Like my local bar, a Guinness, I like Guinness, would cost me 115 crowns, I think it is, which equates to what's that, £9 or something in English money. Yeah, $11 or some around about that in American dollars. So it costs a fortune to go out. That's probably the more expensive. Wine is pretty much the same as that. A beer, or it could be 80, 90 crowns, $8 or $9. Excuse me. So expensive to go out. Number 2 on my pet hates list. And number 1 is, have you guessed it, what the number 1 hate is? Long winters. It is just too much. It's too much. It's too much for me. Yeah, what can I say about that? I can maybe do a whole video on long winters. You just have to find the things that are going to work for you. What's going to work for you? And one of those things is on my list of loves, actually. So we can go into that. 10 things I love, starting at number 10 would be here. We have a system called Swish, where we can transfer money online really easily on an app called Swish. So I have a couple of kids, 16 and 12. They both have phones. They both have the app. And they will request, Papa, can you send me 10 crowns, 20 crowns, whatever it is. They send a request, it comes to my phone, and then I press on the request and say, yeah, I'll pay that 20 crowns. And it just whoop, straight from my bank account to theirs. So it takes literally seconds just to swish money around to people, whether that's good or bad. I do miss cash, but the convenience of Swish is really, really good. I'm not sure now what they have in England these days, but I really like Swish. Number 9 on my things I love is there is very little traffic. I mean, Sweden is great. You know, you can move around in Sweden really easily. You're not held up in traffic jams. It's funny, I sort of share a car with a woman to work, and we come to a, you know, maybe 7, 8, 9 cars, and they're not maybe standing still, but they're moving slowly, and she's like, oh my god, traffic, oh, what am I going to do? But I'm thinking, wow, this is just you know, it's only going to take you 1 minute for you to get to the top of the queue there. There's very little traffic because there's very little people in Sweden, I suppose. 10 million people roughly in Sweden, 10 million plus in London, 10 million in Sweden, whole of Sweden, and we're about twice the size of the UK. So yeah, very little traffic. Number 9. Now this one I want to big up the Swedish people here. Number 8, I love it. Swedish people love speaking English, and they will definitely, they have no hesitation about speaking. I was sitting in a cafe earlier today on my own, writing these things down, and 2 women came up, sat with me, didn't know them, and they were starting speaking English to me. I was saying some stuff in Swedish to them, but they said, where are you from? They recognised that I wasn't from Sweden. I said, from London. They started speaking English. Amazing, right? Really amazing. So big up to the Swedish people about speaking English. Number 7 on my list is work-life balance. I think Sweden have a great, and I'm not saying all companies or all people have a great work-life balance, but I do. I have a great work-life balance. IKEA, I have a love-hate relationship with IKEA. That's another subject. But my work-life balance is really good. And Swedish people really value their time away from work. And I think employers generally are pretty good at giving their employees time away from work and not putting too much pressure on them. I could be wrong. I can't speak for everyone, but for myself personally, I've had a good experience. Number 6 is lots of space in Sweden, right? It's tons of space. Like, you know, there's hardly anyone on this beach. You know, if you're living in Stockholm, maybe there's not so much space, but I've been to Stockholm, I've been to Gothenburg, Helsingborg. You know, the streets aren't packed. You know, you can walk down the street. I know, you know, London, I couldn't do that. You know, it's really hard to do that. I get so annoyed with the people. Oh, yeah. So it's a lot of space around, you know, you can breathe. Love that. Number 5, things I love is people, Swedish people value family time, right? They love being out with their families. You know, it's probably the most important thing. Swedish people really crave that time in the evenings, the weekends, the public holidays, and their own holidays with their families. They love the traditions that they have here in Sweden. Midsummer, Julafton, Christmas time, Easter time. You know, they eat the same food for all those all those things, which is another video maybe. They eat the same food, but yeah, they love their family time, and I really admire that coming from the UK. That has all but disintegrated family time. So I love that about Sweden. It's going back to old values, and I like that a lot. Number 4, it's so clean, right? This can't be stressed enough how clean Sweden is. I have no idea who's clean in Sweden, but it is so clean, right? So I love that. I love that. You know, even now after 16 years, I'm looking on the floor. Can I spot anything on the floor? Is there something that I can, you know, complain about? Right? Um, it's amazing. It's truly truly amazing. I'm not saying, you know, Stockholm and Gothenburg. Yeah, you're going to probably find some litter. I've been there. You know, it's still very clean. People are very, very respectful of where they live. Um, yeah, it's brilliant. I love that. Number 3 on my list is, so we're getting higher now. The things I most love, nature. I love that there's water everywhere, right? And it's easy to get to the coast as well, like less traffic. You know, having lived in London, my nearest beach was Margate or Southend, or yeah, you know, one of my favourite places in the UK is Brighton. But yeah, the traffic, it's just a hassle of getting somewhere. Here it's not a problem, and fortunately I live not far actually from this beach, only a 10-minute cycle ride, but it's really easy to get to these beaches, and they're just big and they're empty, and there's so much water around. So even if you're living inland, you say, I lived in small land for quite a while, 10 years. I lived amongst the trees in small land. Small land's famous for its trees and lakes, but there's lakes everywhere. So you can still find water wherever you go, albeit on the coast or inland. And if you are lucky enough to visit Stockholm, you've got a ton of islands up there. Stockholm's made up of, I don't know, thousands of islands. Yeah. So yeah, Stockholm is a really special place. Water everywhere. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is, it's very safe. No, number 2, nature. Yeah, number 2, it's very safe. It's very safe in Sweden. You know, if you want a family in Sweden to start a life in Sweden with a family, it's a brilliant place. A brilliant place. It's all family here. You know, I would say it's family and pensioners. You know, they're the 2 groups that get looked after here. So bring your kids over, move to Sweden. If you don't mind the long winters, and they're even longer up in northern Sweden. I live in southern Sweden, so you've got southern, you've got kind of middle area of Sweden, and then you've got the north. Yeah, so very safe, and they respect rules, the Swedes. So, you know, even though it's safe, and I think they go in hand, rule respecting and safety, you know, everyone's sort of looking out for everyone, I feel. Yeah, and especially in my town, we have a face group book, you know, that people are always contributing to. So if someone sees something dodgy, you know, it's posted in that group, and everyone's contributing and making an effort to keep the town and keep their area safe. And I like that. Maybe a little bit boring, you know, everyone keeping to the rules, right? But I think it makes for a good community and society, and I think that's what Sweden's all about. It is a lot about the community, and looking after the people around you, and not to be a big jackass, or you know, or stand out too much. You know, Swedish society is about lagom and sort of fitting in. And the number 1 thing that I most love about Sweden, I don't know if you've guessed or thought about it, but it is winter bathing. Now, I love cold water therapy, you might want to call it. I love throwing myself in the water when it's cold. Absolutely. I've been taking cold showers nearly every morning for the last, I would say, since I got here. Well, it could be now 15 years ago now. Cold showers in the morning, throughout the year. It's not so much fun in the summertime because the water is warmer, right? But winter bathing for me is brilliant. So what I do is once or twice a week, I will go to the sauna here in my town. It's on the sea. We will take a little visit there one day. and go in the sauna, jump in the sea, and I might, be doing that 2 or 3 times. It'll be over a couple of hours of winter bathing, and it's if you want an endorphin release, you've got to be doing that. Sauna, cold water. It could be a plunge pool or a shower, but the best is to go and put yourself in the sea. And I often do dips in the winter without the sauna, so I'm swimming in the sea, and I won't last very long. But when it's at its coldest, if the sea is something like 1 degree and the air temperature could be -5, I will be only in the water for about 30 seconds. But you build up resistance, right? But what a way to get your cortisol levels down and your endorphins running around your body. So yeah, that is my number one thing to do, right? My number one thing that I love is winter bathing, and the one thing I hate, the number one thing, is long winters. So that is quite a good example of finding something that will get you through the long winters, because I hate the long winters. I think I've said that. So find something that you love, and I love winter bathing. And that coupled with my training, which is not on this list, and these lists actually extend, but I just thought I need to cut them down to the 10 most important things that for me in my life and my situation here in Sweden, and these are only things that are applicable to my life. Now, service in your part of Stockholm could be great, right? But in my experience, generally, this is applicable to me. So anyway, this is now 21 minutes long. I am fried chicken. I probably need to go and swim and maybe take a nice cold beer. But thanks for listening. Thanks for turning up. Like and subscribe. I will be posting more videos about Sweden, the simplicity of life that I lead in Sweden, or live in Sweden. And I'm hoping that the simplicity and the way I live my life will inspire you to live in a simplistic and inspiring way in your lives. Anyway, so bye for now. Thanks for watching. Hej då.